Good morning, friends. Thank you for joining us here at Journey Home Meditation for our morning sit. I am happy to be here today. I am happy to be here today. Yeah, it's true. um, even when, and I don't even know why this thought's coming into my mind in this moment because, honestly, it doesn't matter. Even when we are really facing some difficult experiences, even when we're suffering, I do think that I am more so now. Maybe it's age. I attribute it to the practice, but I'm more so able to just remain present with what's happening. Sometimes, the suffering becomes a bit much, especially when I believe I'm an individual, right? Especially when I believe that I'm doing this one on my own. But all in all, the suffering that I feel now, I am able to incorporate it or accommodate it. And that's what it is. I can accommodate it into my life with more ease now. And I know that's kind of antithetical to even what the idea of suffering is. In some ways, suffering is that thing that works so hard to take us out of the present moment or take us out of our centering in life. But yeah, whether it's this practice, which, I think has done amazing things to open me to possibilities of growth. And it's not just me, obviously these practices are very old and they've been taught to countless people and shared by countless beings throughout time because of suffering. These practices exist because of dying, because of sickness, because of the temporary truth of this human life. We have developed over a long time these practices of receiving and letting go. And I'm eternally grateful to have the grace bestowed to stumble into these practices clumsily and unskilled as it may be sometimes. And there's this really great quote. It's a very short passage that I've read. I don't remember exactly where I read it, but I remember jotting it down. It's by John Geddes from his book, A Familiar Rain. And I've just always found this quote ever since I read it to be just such an easy, beautiful, and loving It's one sentence. It says, I don't just wish you rain, beloved. I wish you the beauty of the storms. I don't just wish you rain, beloved. I wish you the beauty of the storms. It's when you can find these really rich uh, expressions, these ones that in the Sanskrit it's called satya. It means truth, right? It means what is. Sat is like what's real, what's in front of us. And when a poet can really come down and break it down to its essential, the most essential aspect of what's being communicated in such a brief way, it's for me, it's just been like it's orgasmic. It's like I get to step into this place. There's an amazing poet right now from she's the poet laureate of Colorado. Her name is Andrea Gibson, and she is just one of those poets that can do this, that can really dig deep and strike in, with truth, with with this ability to tell the truth. And she was on a podcast, and the person on the podcast said, in reference to Andrea Gibson's writing, I don't know what's buzzing. I just had an electrical buzz come through my headphones. I hope everything's okay. But she's on the podcast, and the podcast host, she said, reading Andrea Gibson is to her like what it might have felt like for the Jewish people who were leaving captivity, and um, and they developed these ways of speaking to and about God, and they came to this understanding that you can't look directly at God. This is one of the beliefs, or at least one of the cosmologies of the Jewish faith, um, that you can't look directly at God, but you can look at where God has been. You can sort of see the footsteps of God. And for her, she said that's what it is like reading Andrea Gibson's poetry. It's like you just see it that, oh, God was just there. That's where God just was. These traces of divinity. And obviously that doesn't just apply to Andrea Gibson, but it applies to any time in my life that I have landed upon that moment that just ropes me in. it it it, it's like it's lassoing me and pulling me in closer. And most of the times that these really phenomenal, really amazing uh, expressions of love come through are coming through suffering. And it's not always, but many times. I don't even want to say most, but many times. And it's often being spoken by someone who understands what it is to suffer. And at least they understand what it is to experience suffering in themselves. And so when I think about, I don't just wish you rain, beloved, I wish you the beauty of storms. I think about how much I have been able to see where God just was when I am going through some of the most difficult experiences in my life. Those are the times when I can look and I can see this is where the teacher is. And sometimes we can fetishize pain, we can fetishize suffering in a way that, you know, we want to dismiss it and say, well, this, if you're suffering, it's because you've got something to learn. Yeah, okay. I mean, isn't that always true? Don't we always have, the capacity to learn? And it doesn't always have to come through suffering, but it is true. While it's not true that we must always suffer to learn, it is true that um, there is a lot of beauty in the storm. There's a lot of places in the fierceness of upheaval and a disruption, right? There's a fierceness there that is magnificent. And if we can remember who we are and remember that we are not here to suffer alone when we are suffering, we can transform our experience into that space where we can say, okay. We can say, okay. I've been working on this writing, talking about the three things I can always speak that are always true. No matter where I am or what I'm doing, these three things, when I say them to myself, I speak them aloud. I am always speaking truth. And those three things are, that is God. That's God. Because there's no alternative to that. And remembering that reminds me that this isn't just about me. This isn't about the me that I think I am, whatever is happening, whether it's extremely pleasurable or extremely difficult. When I say that, I'm reminded that this is just the way things are working. This is not an aberration. This is not a mistake. This is the way things are working. And the second thing is, this too shall pass. It's, at this point, it's a platitude in some ways, but it's also extremely true. Everything is temporary. Everything is going away. Everything is being born all the time. So when I can remember that, when I'm holding the hand of someone I truly love and I'm living in that blissful joy, I can remember that this too shall pass. And when I am absolutely suffering the deepest loneliness, I can say this too shall pass. And of course, it's always true, at least in this plane of existence. And then the final thing that I'm working on in there is just to say thank you. Just to say thank you. And not sarcastically, to find the way to bring us into our deeper truth. And so that quote really helps in that case. I do find it difficult sometimes when thinking about satya, satya is one of the 5 yamas in the practice of yoga. You have these things that are restraints and these things that are non-restraints. And Yama means restrain, and so one of them is to tell the truth, right? To do not speak untruth. And this was also one of the directives given to Ram Dass by Maharaji: love everyone and tell the truth. And sometimes it can be really difficult to tell the truth because sometimes we don't see what's happening from a truthful perspective. We see what's happening from a place of expectation or a place of resentment or a place of what we wish were happening or what we wish were not happening. And it can become difficult in those moments to tell the truth, especially when we are not able to even hold that truth for ourselves. And I read recently that to be honest without kindness is cruelty. Cruelty. That's a weird word to say. Cruelty. To be honest without kindness is cruelty. And I ponder it. I think about it. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I don't know if that's truth or obfuscation, but I think maybe if we can move kindness out of the realm of being nice, the word kind contains within it the word kinship, closeness. So if we can have that kindness, that closeness with someone, then it can become easier to see the truth if we are using kindness, closeness. Sometimes when we are seeing things from a distance, we think that our honesty is truth. And those are sometimes two different things, because truth does require relationship. And just like any other relationship, every relationship contains within it an intimate relationship, contains within it the full experience of emotional expression, which I don't just wish you rains, beloved. I wish you the beauty of storms. That to me is kindness, grace, intimacy, closeness. So I've meandered a bit here today, and I do have to move this along. I've got commitments to keep. I've got, like my father used to always say, I've got places to go, people to see. But I appreciate the space to be able to meander through those thoughts around what that means to find grace within suffering. Today when you have time, if you don't already know this, look up the word compassion and look up the etymology of the word. Find the root of the word passion, for instance, and see how that might shift your relationship to the notion of compassion and the reality of suffering and what it is. But in the meantime, maybe we'll take a few breaths together, help facilitate our bodies and our minds to move through this experience of sharing not just the rains, but the storms. So if you're seated as I am, we're going to be finding our meditation posture. You could also be standing, lying down, seated on a pillow or a rug, on the floor, wherever you are right now. Just bring your body into a place of balance and begin to shift your awareness towards your breath, feeling what it is to breathe in and to breathe out. Lengthening the spine, bring the chin up just a bit. Let the shoulders relax. Bring the shoulder blades together just a touch in the back, enough to open the chest and open your heart. Let your eyes gently close or have a soft focus just a few feet in front of you. Relax your eyebrows, your face, your jaw, your neck, your ears. Breathe in and release. As we find our way into this balance, breathing in and out of the nose, you can bring your thoughts to the breath and also bring yourself to imagine the rains and the beauty of storms. If you're finding places of tension or stuckness in the body, bring your awareness here. Just breathe into that space and relax your way into opening. We want to always be opening. Hold yourself open. Hold yourself open. And when you're ready, just allow yourself to begin to move gently and bring your awareness that you have of your breath to the movement of your body. Feeling the movements, understanding that you are moving your body. When we are embodying our life, we are moving through dissociation and into intimacy. This is kindness. So be kind with your body. Be kind with your thoughts. Be kind with your emotional expressions, because that kinship that lives within kindness, that makes it so much easier just to love. Loving everybody is difficult when we think we are all so separate. When we are so separate, we live in judgment and fear, and that does not feel like love. But when we can find kindness first within our bodies, within our minds, our thoughts, and our emotional space, that is the place where love can easily flow. We can recognize then that that's God. And we can know that this too shall pass. And we can just say thank you. So thank you for being here today. Hariom.